Hi, this is Damien Foley, and this is my MBA journey at the Melbourne Business School. And today I'm talking with one of my student cohorts, which is Will right here. Hi, Will.
Howdy, how you doing?
Good. Okay, so Will's actually my first interview with one of my student cohorts here at the Melbourne Business School as part-time. So let's see how this goes.
I'm on it.
You ready?
Yeah, good.
Okay, well, tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I grew up in Tassie, northern Tasmania, just outside of Launceston. Had two sisters. I grew up on a little farm. Went to school in Launceston. Lived the small town dream, I guess. When I hit 18, I moved away from Tassie to Melbourne. Went to Monash University. Studied a double degree in aerospace engineering and mathematics. So hung around there for about 5 years. Did my honours. Looking at jet acoustics, so the way noise interacts in a jet exhaust stream, and then fumbled around for a bit trying to find a job. There's not a lot of companies in Australia that will hire aerospace engineers.
Okay.
And then I guess 3 years ago fell on my feet with a company called Nova Systems, who I work for now. So they do predominantly aerospace test and evaluation, so helicopters, fighter jets, transport planes, that sort of thing. A bit of Navy, bit of maritime, a little bit of land and some energy stuff as well. So I've been in with them for about 3 years.
Okay, that sounds like a kid's dream to be working with.
Yeah. we get to play with some cool toys. Yeah.
Sounds excellent. Yeah. So you started doing the MBA, the part-time MBA.
Yep.
Why the MBA and why the part-time MBA?
Yeah, so we routinely get called in by, or more and more by, commercial customers who are looking to start up an aerial services business. And so we're able to help them out with what plane to buy, what training they need to do, what licensing they need to get, all that sort of stuff. But not so much with how to actually set up the business around it. How do you structure that? How do you generate the revenue? How do you value that aerial services business? And so I kind of got sick of not knowing, and so signed up for the part-time MBA. Most the part-time MBA because it gives me a little bit of flexibility to do it around my work. I can continue going and playing with cool toys during the day, and then I can come here at night after work, and it doesn't really disrupt my normal daily routine.
Okay, and why Melbourne Business School when we're in Melbourne? So there's like RMIT and all those other ones. Why Melbourne Business School?
Yeah, look, I thought about Monash because that's obviously where I went to undergrad. I got a little bit of affiliation there. But I spoke to a couple of people who've done Melbourne MBAs, and they just rave about the cohort, the variety of people that you meet, the calibre of everyone that's coming through is just sort of a step above any other business school in Melbourne, in my opinion.
Yeah, I have to agree. That's what I heard. It's with doing the MBA is that it's half of it is about what you're learning and applying. The other half is about the networking, and the networking is not just about getting a job. It's about the people you meet and what you learn from them, because it attracts a very strong cohort of alumni to do the program. So that builds a really strong network of people to make contact with.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I've noticed that when we're sitting in class, most of the time it's not actually the lecturer talking, right? The lecturer will propose a talking point, and then the next half an hour to an hour is all just people providing their different perspectives, which is, I guess, very different to my undergrad experience, where it was 200 people sitting in a classroom being talked at. This is very much a collaborative experience, and I think most of the value that I'm getting out of it is having conversations in the classroom with various other people.
So what have been so you've just discussed some of the things that you've gained from it. What are some of the things that you, what have you taken away? What's been the standout feature so far? We've only been doing it for 2 weeks, to be honest. But what's been the standout thing that you've noticed doing it so far?
I guess my ability to pick up on potentially the larger situations that I'm seeing. So if I go into a workplace situation where there's a conflict or where there's some sort of challenge that I'm facing, my instinct is no longer just to dive in and have a crack at fixing it. My instinct is first to just take a couple of seconds and try and analyse what's going on. And I guess we're only, like I said, we're only just starting, but it's immediately switched my mind frame from trying to get in and solve the problem to actually have a think about what's going on before I take steps to try and intervene.
And what impact have you found around, again, only been 2 weeks, the level of work involved and how that's impacted on your life as far as work and personal life?
Yeah, so I'm lucky in that my employer is really, really flexible with the hours that I work. I get to work pretty early, sort of like 6 a.m. And then I tend to leave at kind of 3:30, 4 in the afternoon, which gives me plenty of time to come to MBS after work and do a bit of study. Look, the workload's it's manageable. It's definitely solid. I'm not going to be be coy about it. There's definitely a quantity of work to be done if you are going to get the best out of the lectures, mainly because they're predominantly case-based. So when you rock up to a lecture, you'll have a bit of a case that you expected to have read, and if you haven't read it, you're not going to get anything out of the lecture, right? As I'm sure you would have found.
Yes.
So there is a workload associated with it, but I'm working full time, doing some pro bono consulting as well, and studying at MBAs.
Oh, okay. Pro bono consulting.
Yeah, so I'm going to do a bit of a shameless plug here.
Go for it. I'm all for shameless plugs.
I'm a team leader with an organisation called 180 Degrees Consulting.
Okay.
So they're the world's largest university-based consulting group. So it's entirely run by students of universities around the world, and they provide pro bono consulting services to not-for-profits.
Oh.
So we're working with a couple of not-for-profits around Melbourne to help them out with the various challenges that they're facing that traditionally, so commercial firms would go to a consulting firm to solve this, but often not-for-profits can't afford those sorts of rates, so we provide that pro bono as a service to them.
Okay, there you go. I learn something new about my fellow students every day. There we go. Well, fantastic. Look, anything else you want to cover off, or we haven't discussed here about the MBA or your thoughts about it?
No, I think we've done a really good job of getting through. Like I said, we're only a couple of weeks in, and I'm really excited. I guess the only thing that we haven't sort of talked about is just the pure diversity of people that we've met. So we've got engineers, business people, lawyers. I met a doctor the other day. There's just people from all sorts of background, people who don't have undergraduate degrees. It's just the mix of people is far and away beyond anything that you would expect to run into in your ordinary work life, where I'm surrounded by engineers and project managers, right? All of a sudden I'm interacting with a physio, or I'm interacting with a lawyer, or someone who's in social media marketing, or whatever it might be. So you get some really cool different perspectives on the problems that you're facing.
It does, and especially when you're doing teamwork as well. I've found it's like we've done personality traits, and we discussed how that's been involved with our work, and some interesting outcomes from that. But when you start learning about personality traits and you start doing that with your fellow syndicate or team group, it's amazing how you start to pick up on that and you go, oh wow, that's I didn't realise that, but from doing the work, you now pick up on it.
Yeah, agree. Absolutely agree.
Yeah, so, Look, thank you, Will, for doing this interview. Look, I'm sure we're going to come back, hopefully, and do another interview at a later time to see how we're progressing.
Check in with me after a term and ask me if I'm still enjoying it, right?
It's been not too bad. Like, it was hard at the start, but I'm enjoying it now. It's a little bit more relaxed. I think it was a trial by fire.
Yeah.
So, look, guys, thank you for joining us. Again, this is Will, my fellow student cohort here at the part-time MBA at Melbourne Business School. If you want to follow this, you can. You can follow along on YouTube at Damien Foley. You can also check out my website, www.damienfoley.com/MBA. There's also Instagram at DG and also I've got LinkedIn, and that's Damien Foley 1. We'll see if we can get it out there, and hope you enjoy it. Okay, thanks again, Will.
No worries, thank you.
Great.